Alright guys, this is your 12-week benchmark review. I know it's going a little bit hard to see. I don't know what's happening in the camera, but just work with me. You should have a copy that's uploaded on Google Classroom as well you can look at. But whenever you're given something in dimensional analysis, you always write it over 1 unless it's in the metric system. Then we have a different way of working it out. But I'm going to write 19.25 yards over 1, and I need to multiply it by a conversion factor. And we know that there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So I'm going to put the 1 yard diagonal from it and the 3 feet above it. That way when I multiply, we know that when it's diagonal, it's going to cancel out. So then you can just type in the rest of it in your calculator. So alpha y equals enter 19.25 over 1 times 3 over 1. And you're going to result in 57.75, which is answer choice C. When you're doing this, remember yards are bigger than feet, so therefore when you're looking at this, you're actually going to go to a bigger measurement, because if you have yards and you're going to a bigger measurement, then you're going to have more feet. It takes more feet to make those many yards. But regardless, if you set it up like this, you should get it. Okay, next one, you're going to need your mnemonic device. Okay, some of you guys put a U there. Either one's fine. So King Henry died unusually drinking chocolate milk. And when I look at this, I'm given 3 meters, which is under the U. So I'm going to start with 3 meters right here, and we're going to go to centimeters. And centimeters is our goal right there. So we have to jump 2 places to the right. So if I take 3, there's my decimal. I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3 places to the right. And now I have to put my placeholder. So that's going to be 300 centimeters. Also, centa means 100. So really, if you're going from meters to 100 or to centimeters, you have 100 centimeters make up 1 meter. So that's another way you can think of it too. Looking right here, we have 50 kilometers over 1 times my conversion factor. Since we're going in between system, they have to give you the conversion factor. I'm going to put the 1 kilometer on the bottom, and I'm going to put the 0.6214 miles on the top. Kilometers are diagonal, so they cancel, and now I just type the rest of it in my calculator. So alpha y equals enter 50 over 1 times alpha y equals enter 0.6214 over 1. And my answer is 3107, which 31.07, they rounded to the 10th place, so 8 would be the correct answer. Next one, when you're looking through this one's not too bad. You're just looking for all the pieces to be diagonal. So if you look here, miles and miles are not diagonal, so it's not A. Miles and miles are diagonal, so that looks good. So miles and miles would cancel. Hours and hours would cancel. And minutes would cancel. So you're left with what you're looking for, which is feet per second, which says right there. So B is actually the right answer. But when we look here, miles and miles are not diagonal, so it's not that one. And when I look here, hours and hours are not diagonal, so it's not D. So really, process elimination is really good. Just check and make sure the pieces are diagonal from each other. This one right here, you're going to have to reduce the radical. So we're going to break down 392, and 392 ends with an even number, so therefore it's divisible by 2. So 2 times 196, 196 divided by 2, it's also even, is 98. And 98 is even as well, so 49 and 2. So we got 7 and 7 when we look at this. So when I rewrite this, I'm going to have 8 square root of 1, 2, 3 2's, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 7's. 1, 2, 7. If you want to check that number, you could always do 2 times 2 times 2 times 7 times 7, and it gives you 392, which is what we start with. And we got P, 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 because I got 5 P's there. Circle the pairs, pair of 2's, pair of 7's, pair of P's, pair of P's. They get to go to the party. So you have 8 times 2 times 7 times P, and the people that didn't have someone to go to the party was 2 and that P. So I'm going to look through my answers and see which one has the answer choice of 2P left on the radical. C and B do. So I know A and D are out of the question. Now next thing is 8 times 2 times 7. If I put that in my calculator, it's going to give me 112. So therefore my answer for this one is C. That was equivalent to 112 when you multiply those out, P squared. on the square root of 2p. Okay, next one, same thing, you got to simplify before you can start combining because we need like radican. So I'm going to break down 28, which is 4 and 7, and 4 breaks down to 2 and 2. So I have 3 on the square root of 2 times 2 times 7 minus 3 on the square root of 7. Circle the pairs, they go to the party. So I have 2 times 3 on the square root of 7 minus 3 on the square root of 7. And 2 times 3 is 6. So now we have like radicals, so 6 minus 3 is 3. So my answer should be 3 on the square root of 7. Now if you forget that for your test tomorrow, all you need to do is type in the original and then type in your answer and see if the decimal matches, and the decimal matches. So you're good to move on. Okay, number 7, same thing. I'm going to put number 7 in orange since I got a lot going on this one. But number 7 in orange, if we have square root of 15 times 5 on the square root of 3 plus 3, really there's an understood 1 right here, and there's an understood 1 right there. So when you're multiplying radicals, you multiply outside by outside, inside by inside. 1 times 5 is 5. 15 times 3 is 45. 1 times 3 is 3. 15 times an understood 1 is 15. So now when I'm looking at this, I don't see my answer there because they can actually reduce. If I was to take 45 and break it down, you got 9 and 5, and it breaks down to 3 and 3. So we have 5 on the square root of 3 times 5 plus 3 on the square root of, well, 15 breaks down to 3 and 5. This one has a pair of 3, so they go to the party. So you have 3 times 5 on the square root of 5 because he didn't get invited to the party, and you have 3 on the square root of 15. So 3 times 5 gives you 15 on the square root of 5 plus 3 on the square root of 15, which is answer choice C. But same thing. If you didn't know that, you should type in the problem and the answer in your calculator. So we got square root of 15, 5 on the square root of 3 plus 3, and we get that number. We type in our answer that we think is the answer, square root of 15, or 15 on the square root of 5 plus 3 on the square root of 15. So we got the same decimal approximation, so that's how we know we're right. Next ones, when you have something like this, you have to make sure you distribute anything that's in front of the parentheses. There is an understood 1 in front of this parentheses. So if I distribute a 1, 1 times 5 is 5 minus 4v. So really it doesn't change the value. However, this one has an understood negative 1. So I have to distribute that negative 1 to both things because there's something important in front of it. It's going to change the value. Negative times a positive is a negative. Negative times a positive is a negative, or just change the signs. 5 minus 3, those are like terms, so that gives you 2. And negative 4v and negative 7v, those are like terms, that gives you negative 11v. And it looks like A is our answer because you can rewrite it as well. 2 is positive, it's still positive. Negative 11v, that right there. If you were going to check it, you could still blood squirt on this one. It looks a little different, but you could still do it. You type in the original. You type in your answer, which we got negative 11x plus 2, and we would graph it. My calculator's on a little weird setting. But when you graph it, there's the vein, and there's where it fills it. So you can also blood squirt on that one as well. Next one, there's nothing in front of the first parentheses, so I can drop the parentheses. And there's an understood 1 in front of that parentheses. However, you multiply a 1 through. 1 times 4 is still a positive 4, and 1 times 2v squared is still a positive 2v squared. So really, it doesn't really change anything. Now you're just combining like terms. This is the only one with a v squared, so I'm going to write 2v squared. It's the only one with a 4v, so I'm going to do plus 4v. However, these two are like terms, which add up to 12. And 2v squared plus 4v plus 12 is b. And same thing, you can blood squirt on that one as well. Okay, page number 2, we're at number 10 up here. If you're going to be multiplying these radicals, I would set up a window and put what you know on the outside, because that's factor form goes on the outside, and then you multiply or get standard form. 6v times 4v is 24v squared. 6v times 1 is 6v. 4v times negative 6 is negative 24v. Negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. So when I rewrite this here, I'm going to rewrite each piece together. 24v squared is positive, negative 24v is negative, 6v is positive, so it gets a plus sign, minus 6. These two right here are like terms, which combine to give you negative 24 plus 6, which is negative 18v. And I literally just typed that in my calculator to get negative 18. So your answer should be answer choice A. And if you're in doubt, as always, type it in and blood squirt it. So your question was 4v plus 1 times 6v minus 6. And our answer is 24x squared minus 18x minus 6. And when we graph it, we get something that looks like this. So there's the vein. And there's the blood squirt. So you're right. And you're going to move on. Okay? Next, identify the y-intercept. I'm going to tell you it's the same equation you're going to use for the next 5. Me, I would not do anything except just go ahead and type it in your calculator. Because if you want to find the y-intercept, it has to be in standard form. So you'd have to multiply this out, then distribute the negative, then subtract 2, which is a lot of work. So I'm just going to type it in exactly how I see it. Okay? And I'm going to change my window. I keep forgetting that. Okay? If I'm going to find the y-intercept, I know it's going to be on the y-axis, and I don't go left to right any, so the x value is 0. If you press trace, x equals 0, it will tell you 0, comma, negative 14. And look, I don't even see it on the graph. If you wanted to, you could exchange your window and zoom out. So if I want to go down here and change my y min to like negative 15, I'd be able to see that. And see, right there's the negative 14 we just got. So just press trace, 0, enter to find the y-intercept. Okay? Next one right here, our domain. It's just an equation. There's no number that you can possibly not turn in for x. Remember, domain is your x value and range is your y value, because range e. So does not exist a number that I cannot plug into here. That's what that means. Okay? Or if it's not a problem situation, it's all real numbers for this class. Range right here, same thing. I already got it in my calculator. Range is like range e. That's how Coach Setzer says it. So you're going to have a y, and you're going to talk with your minimum or your maximum y value. In this case, we have a max. So I'm going to go second calc and find my max, option 4. Go to the left side. Go to the right side. And press enter and press enter. It tells me it's at negative 4.2. If you want to be sure, negative 4. It looks like negative 4.2, and I would say it is. So the y value, though, for that is 2. So you have a y value in of 2. It's opening down, so it gets a less than symbol, because all the y values are smaller or less than 2. So Pac-Man's going to eat 2 because that's the highest or the biggest y value, which should be answer choice D. In behavior, when I'm looking at, they're both going down. So both ends, the left end and the right end, they're both decreasing, which is answer choice A. So both down or both up. That's all it is. So this is, you might have seen this notation for decreasing. That's the same thing, decreasing, or as y is going to negative infinity. Okay, right here, looking at this one, same thing. We got the same formula. My graph, this is at negative 4, comma 2. And when you are talking about the domain, that's left to right. And you read a book left to right, or when you're talking about the interval increasing, it's like, where is it increasing and where is it decreasing? Which is the domain, which is negative infinity to infinity, and the number that you represent going left to right. And which one represents left to right? It's the x value. So in this case, it's going to be negative 4. So A and C are out of the picture. They're not going to be the answer because it's not focused on the x value. Remember, left to right is how you read a graph. Left to right is the x value. Okay? Now from negative infinity to negative 4, we're going up. So we're increasing from negative infinity to negative 4, which checks right here. And from negative 4 to infinity, we're going down. So that's decreasing, and that checks right there. So the answer is D. Okay? These right here, you're going to have to type in your calculator. So if you go to y equals, clear it out, and we do negative 16x squared plus 31x plus 5, and I do zoom 6, I'm going to see what it looks like. And a lot of people say we made a mistake because you don't see actually the vertex. And the vertex is just a fancy word for the max or the min. Okay? So I'm going to go to my window and I'm going to change it so it goes up higher, more up here. So I'm going to change the Y max to, I don't know, 30. Just going to take a guess. And when I look at 30, it actually does get my max in there. So now I know the max is somewhere close to there. So I'm going to go second calc, find the max by option 4. Here's the left-hand side of it. Here's the right-hand side of it. You press enter and it's going to come out. I know it's hard for you to see, but it says 0.968, which rounds to 0.97, comma, and this one is 20.02. And once again, it rounded. So already I know it can't be C or D. And to go ahead and show it can't be C is, look, if I do trace 1.19, it actually gives me 19, and 19 is not the same thing as 22. So if you want to kind of get rid of some things, that's not going to work, okay? But if I do trace 0.97, it gives me exactly 20.0156, which if you round the 5 up, it's 20.02. So I know it's going to be A or B. Now, some people can do this off of common sense, okay? The ball will reach a height of not even a foot, and after 20.02 seconds, I don't think a baseball is going to be in the air for 20 seconds and only reach a height of 1 foot. So it's not going to be A, but it's going to be B. Now, if you're not one of those people that you can read through that and see that the maximum height of 20 feet after 1 second sounds accurate, what you can do is, remember, right here is important. They gave you the problem right there, and they put H of T. And that T is your input. And your input is the same thing as your X value or your independent variable or etc. Okay? They all mean the same. So when I'm looking at that, the input's the T. So the input, my X value, is T. And T, it told you in the problem, is represented by seconds. So we have 0.97 seconds, and the height is going to be feet. And it told you that in the problem as well. So that's also what you would get if you need to do it this way. So 0.9 seconds, 0.9 seconds, and then 20.02 feet. All right, next page, looking right here, the domain. Okay, we got a picture in our graph right here, but we just went over this. The X value is seconds, and the Y value is going to be feet. So I'm going to automatically get rid of D because domain is my X values. Okay, and I'm going to get rid of all real numbers because I told you that if it's all real numbers, it only works if you're only given a graph. Now, our X values representing seconds, and we can't go backwards in time, so negative values are not going to be accounted for. So now you just need to look and see where is it going to hit the ground at. And if I'm looking, I would say it's probably close to 2 because it's 2 tick marks over. Hit the ground is right here where it goes up, and it hits the ground right there. So trace 2.09, and you're right there at hitting the ground. If you do trace 20.02, you're going to be like way down here. Look, I think it's so big it won't even graph it. See, it says error. So your answer should be A. And that would make sense. It's going to be in the ground for about 2 seconds. That makes sense. It does not make sense to be in the air for 20 seconds. Okay? Same thing. Now this time we're talking about range or rangee. So we're talking about our Y values now. So we know that seconds is X and feet is Y values, and the only one that has feet in it is B. Not this one, not this one. And we know it's not all real numbers because that baseball is not going to go all the way to outer space, and it's not going to go to the center of the earth, okay? So there are heights that are not going to be included. All right, 19, you can't really blood squirt on this one, which kind of stinks, but it's okay. When I look at -4 and -12, I see that they both have in common, they're both divisible by 4. And remember, I told you we don't like to start off with a negative, so I'm going to take out a -4. Now, the trick is with the variables, x is in both of them, but which one has a fewer number of x's is this one right here with x cubed. Y is in both of them, but which one has a fewer number of y's is this one right here with y. And look, -4 times 1 is going to give you -4x to the third y. And look, if I had 3 x's, I take 3 away. I don't write anything down. If I had 1 y, I take 1 away. I don't write any down. Now, -4 times a +3 is going to give you -12. If I had 4 x's, I take 3 away. I'm left with 1 x. If I had 2 y's, take 1 y away. I'm left with y. So my answer should be option C. And if you're going to redistribute it back through, you'll get option C as your answer. So really, I can get rid of this one right here because -4 times 15 would give you 60, which isn't the problem. And -4 times 12 would give you 48, which isn't the problem. And it's not the right variables. So you could take out different variables. So that's about it. Okay. Now, 20 through 22, you can blood squirt just fine, okay? So you can type them all in until they work out. There's nothing wrong with that. So if I'm looking at this, 7 doesn't go into all of them. I'm going to have my X, my T, and my box. Okay? 7 times 25 is 175 n squared. 40 n squared goes down here. So I'm going to find the factors of 175. Go to your calculator and do 175 divided by X. Look at our table, and when I'm looking through there, the bottom is positive, so I know the right side's positive, but I also know a positive times a positive is going to give me a positive, so they're both going to be positive. So I'm just going to cheat down here, and I see that 5 and 35 add up to 40. So just for the sake of time, I didn't write them all down. I kind of cheated, because I know that those two right there add up to 40, and multiply to give me 175. So 7n squared goes here, 5n goes here, that's the magic. 35n goes there, that's the magic, and the last term in the problem was 25. So that's the first and last box, okay? So I can take out right here, they both have an n in common. These both have a 7n in common. N times 5 gives me 5n, and 7n times 5 gives me 35. N times 7n, 7n squared, n times 5 is 5n, 7n times 5 is 35n, 5 times 5 is 25. So my answer is going to be answer choice B. But you can blood squirt that one, especially since they're the same exact problem. This one right here, they're both perfect squares, so and they're subtracting. So if you have both perfect squares, square of the first one is 5b, square the second one is 4. So write 5b and 4 in both the equations, and make one positive, make one minus. So it'd be D. And you can also blood squirt on that one as well. 22, they both have a common 2 in common, or they both have a 2 in common. 2 times 4n squared would give you that 8n, and 2 times 1 would give you that negative 2. Now, these two right here are perfect squares. So I can take the square root of 4n squared, which is 2n, and that goes in the front part. Square root of 1 is 1, and that goes in the back. Make one positive, make one negative, which is not D. I spoke too soon. It would be A. But blood squirt it, and you'll make sure you're right, okay? Next one, we're going to have our X, our T, and our box. So same thing. You're going to have to factor it, because this one you can't blood squirt. They didn't give you the whole problem. They only gave you half of the answer, or half of factored form. So when I find the factors of 20, I get 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. The bottom of the X is negative, so the right-hand side's negative. And a negative times a positive is not a negative, so I got to adjust the left-hand side and make them both negative. These two add up to negative 9x. The first term was x squared, the last term was 20. My magic numbers I just found negative 4x, negative 5x. You can take out an x, take out an x, take out negative 4, take out negative 5. So my answer is x minus 5 times x minus 4. Okay? So when I'm looking at this, I'm going to pick option B because it matches one of the linear factors right here. Okay? Alright, last page, and we're so close to being done. If you're going to do this one way, I'll do it one way on this one and one way on the other one. You would set each factor equal to 0. So not that one, but because if negative 2 equals 0, nothing happens. So I'm going to set that equal to 0 and set x plus 2 equal to 0. Undo PEMDAS, so subtract 5 on both sides. 4x equals negative 5, and then undo multiplication by dividing by 4. So x equals negative 1.25. Subtract 2 on both sides, and x equals negative 2. So your answer should be C. However, if it's not already in factor form, there's a lot more work than you really have to do. So what I'm going to do on this one is I'm just going to cheat and type in the actual problem, which is 6x squared plus 30x plus 36. I'm going to graph it, and I'm going to see where it's going to cross the x-axis at. Okay, it looks like negative 2 and negative 3. So if I do trace negative 2, it does end up on the 0, and trace negative 3, it does work up on there. So you can get rid of A and B because we know it's going to be a negative number because it's on the left-hand side, and negative 12 and negative 18. If you type in negative 12, you get an error. It's like so big it's not even on your graph. So you can just check those by using your calculator. Next one, we complete the square. We set it up like this. Plus a box, minus a box. And when you find out what goes in that box, you take the b term, or the negative 12 here, you cut it in half, and you square it. So half of negative 12 is negative 6, and negative 6 squared is 36. So you're actually putting a 36 in both of those squares. So it would match answer choice B. Okay, same exact idea, except now this time you're doing the whole problem. So we're going to write it where a box minus 17 minus the box. So half of 8 is negative 4, and negative 4 squared is 16. So we're going to put a 16 here and a 16 there. So now what goes in the parentheses is x minus what you had before you squared it. So half of negative 8 is minus 4, and negative 17 minus 16 is negative 33. But the nice thing about this one, once again, you can blood squirt it and make sure it's right. I'm emphasizing this because I want you to blood squirt it and check your answers. Okay, next one, which function has been translated 1 unit to the right and 3 units up? Well, I know if it's 3 units up, that means the very end got pushed up 3. So the very end is plus 3. So it's not going to be C and it's not going to be D. And I know if it's 1 unit to the right, it's opposite of what you think. So I know it's going to be A. However, it's smart to go ahead and just check it. The original problem was x squared, and my A answer is x minus 1 squared plus 3. And when I graph it, the blue's the original, which is right there. And we want to make sure it got moved. So let me zoom 6 this because my calculator's messed up from that other problem we did a little while ago. So there's my original. And if I look, it actually went 1 to the right, up 3, which is exactly what we're looking for. 1 to the right, up 3. So I'm right on A. So I use my calculator on that. Okay, next one. If I don't know how they compared, I'm just going to type them both in, okay? So I'm going to go to y equals and type in negative x minus 3 squared and see what happened. So when I look at it, here's my first one. I can see that it got moved to the right. So if I go here, translate to the right, that one's translated to the right, not to the left, not to the left, translated to the right. And then it wants to know which one to get reflected over. The x-axis in this case was my hinge. I went from here to here. So that's the one I got reflected over, was the x-axis. So it's answer choice D. If it got reflected over the y-axis, it would have been going from here to here. But it got reflected from here to there. So that's what tells you that. Last one, and we're done. First problem was x squared, and they want to know how 5x squared minus 7 compares to it. So graph them both. And when you look at it, we'll see that it's skinnier. So if it's skinnier, it got stretched, not compressed, because see how skinny it is? And also, it went down 7. So translated down 7 is option C. Okay? It didn't go up, so that's what ruined it for that one. So make sure you're just using your calculator. If you know how to use your calculator, this test should not be hard at all. Okay? Got any